So we actually have a really special show for you this week because we're gonna do a deep dive on the whole Huawei, US government, Google debacle. Okay, it's gonna be really in depth. So the episode's gonna be a little bit longer. All right.
Yeah, and it's literally all gonna be Huawei.
Yeah.
Although Huawei.
Yes.
So stay tuned and figure out what's been going on. So what exactly happened with Huawei and the US and Google and all this stuff? Because I'm sure all of you have been reading about it. So actually, US President Donald Trump, actually placed Huawei on an entity list, which sounds super shady. But what it basically means is it limits businesses and US brands on how they can work with Huawei. So that's why we've been hearing about all this Google stuff, because Google has actually been forced to restrict the company's access to the Google Play Store, to Gmail, to the Google app, to YouTube, to basically anything Google,
yeah, including the
Android
OS, okay, which is super vital to
an Android phone.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't have an Android phone without Android.
Exactly. So, and this actually includes not just Google, yeah, but like US-based companies as well. So companies such as Qualcomm, Intel, Microsoft, Corning Glass, companies like Dolby, they have to adhere to this sort of restrictions. Okay,
Yeah,
so
they're
they're US-based companies. They have to adhere to US. They're bound by US law. All right. So it's not just Google. Okay, Huawei are pretty much. Yeah,
they're taking it hard right now, and that's not a good thing. But actually, just for you guys who don't really know what's been going on because you've been living under a rock,
yeah,
Huawei actually sued the US government.
No. The US government accused Huawei.
The government accused Huawei
of
and then
spying
and other stuff.
Yeah, being a vessel for the People's Liberation Army.
That sounds really scary.
Yeah.
But then Huawei came out and said, "No, I'm going to sue you."
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, because they say that your claims are, unsubstantiated. Zero evidence, anonymous sources. The CIA intelligence. Come on, CIA intelligence these days is pretty.
Not so.
Yeah, it's laughable, I would say.
So in short, what this means is Huawei will no longer be able to offer access to crucial Google apps, and will basically be severely limited on how quickly it can give users access to the latest versions of Android and the new features and security updates and basically all that stuff.
These are important things, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what if you own a Huawei device now? Like, let's just say, oh my god, I have a Huawei device. What do I do?
Wait, Joshua, I have a Huawei device. What am I going to do?
Exactly. So, okay, look. So Google actually came out with a statement and they said, we are complying with the order and reviewing the implications. For users of our services, Google Play and the security protections from Google Play Protect will continue to function on existing Huawei devices. So, great news. And then Huawei actually came about and said, Huawei has made substantial contributions to the development and growth of Android around the world. As one of Android's key global partners, we have worked closely with their open source platform to develop an ecosystem that has benefited both users and the industry. The rest of the statement will be up on the screen and you guys can read it, okay? But what this essentially means is that if you've just spent like a ton of money on that P30 Pro, you're safe. Okay, don't worry about it.
But still.
I mean, you're safe, but for how long, right? Okay,
yeah.
We'll get to that later. Current users and customers of Huawei can pretty much expect business as usual in terms of the ban, all right? So for now, again, business as usual. Google and Huawei themselves have stated, like I said, that don't worry,
there's no issues or whatever.
Yeah, you're not going to be left out in the cold. But I mean, how many times have companies actually said that?
And then just did it anyway.
Exactly. So, good news though for Huawei is that the US Commerce Department has issued a temporary license to Huawei to work with businesses in the US. Meaning Google can resume its partnership, not just Google, all these other companies can resume its partnership with the brand. However, only until
August 19th.
Yes.
So that's a 90-day reprieve from the ban. And the temporary ban, the temporary lifting of the ban will actually let the brands to prepare for better Android support for the current and future models. Huawei will also be able to do business as it has been for a little longer, and current customers will be able to benefit from the devices a little longer too.
That being said though, like the fact that you currently get the updates and this and that, you're not gonna be able to rest easy because we don't know how long you guys will be getting these updates. We don't know how long like Google's gonna continue to support your device.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't know. No one really knows.
Yeah, usually, like for devices, I'd say you'd get 2 to 3 years of updates.
Yeah, but experts are saying.
But now
for this one, it's probably gonna be less.
Yeah.
Given like all the restrictions that are yet to come as well, so we don't know. Okay.
So with all this being said, we have to ask the question, will future Huawei phones still use Android? I mean, the move from Google means it will literally no longer work with Huawei directly, you know, on issuing updates to the system. And this won't give access to Huawei to the Google Play Store, which essentially makes it pretty useless.
Yeah, so if Huawei actually wants to keep using Android, one alternative that they have is to actually use the Android open source platform, which is AOSP. Yeah. Which is a free platform, okay? And any brand can use it, but you know, it's the underlying foundation. It's basically the foundation of Android. Of the Android system, okay? But what's the caveat?
I mean, but because even if they did do that, they still wouldn't be able to access the Google Play Store, none of the apps, and basically
no, I mean they would be able to access certain apps, but not YouTube, not Google Maps, not Chrome. None of that.
I mean, those are the important apps. Though. Like literally every phone I've ever come across has Gmail
It's basically
installed,
like a
Chrome,
Chinese version of Android, like a China
Droid.
which it is, you know.
China Droid.
Yeah. So without access to the Play Store, Huawei would be forced to work directly with developers to get them to sort of create versions
for them.
Yeah, exactly.
And we know how much developers love making things, especially for just one person. You know, that sounds super fun.
Yeah.
And if Huawei does have to use AOSP, the consequences could be devastating, because you don't have access to a fully stocked App Store.
That's so important.
You know,
important.
that was why I think that was like one of the reasons iPhone was so popular. Was because of their App Store.
I mean, look at what happened to Nokia and Microsoft.
They tried, but still failed. What makes you so special, Huawei?
So like, what about other companies, like other Chinese companies such as Oppo, Xiaomi, Honor, right?
Well, the executive order didn't target Huawei.
Yeah, but Chinese companies can be affected too, okay?
Theoretically.
Yes, just because they single out Huawei, it doesn't mean that
it doesn't single out anyone else later on.
So eventually, right, the long arm of the US government's coming for you. Oppo, Huawei, I mean Xiaomi,
and
Honor.
all them. I mean, they're not the only ones. ZTE, another telecoms equipment and smartphone maker, competes directly with Huawei, has run into their own issues with the US government already.
And Honor is a special case, because Honor is actually owned by Huawei. But just because they're owned by Huawei, I mean, they're trying to, you know, be independent, but they're not. I mean,
they're not really.
They might be considered as a separate OEM by Google, but I doubt that. We'll have to see. So other Chinese companies, be on the lookout.
But smartphones aren't the only thing that's affected with Huawei and all their devices.
Exactly.
We have to ask another question. Will this ban affect Huawei's 5G implementations and infrastructure?
They are one of the leading 5G providers.
Yeah,
right?
literally, like they're literally everywhere. With even in Malaysia, Celcom, I think, and Maxis, I'm not sure.
Okay.
But Huawei is a leading provider of 5G networking equipment, and the ban on trade could essentially delay Huawei's moves to supply 5G equipment to countries around the world. And that's not just America.
Yeah, but apparently, like Bloomberg reports that Huawei has actually stockpiled at least 3 months worth of sort of components in anticipation of this situation. Okay, so they were prepared.
Yeah, I mean, Huawei, we give you that, but beyond that, the company may need to seek alternatives. If your local provider is building out of its 5G network using Huawei gear, then delays could be very well be on the horizon.
So probably delayed, bottom line.
Pretty much.
In terms of Android, what's the worst case scenario for Android?
So one of the possible outcomes of this is that Huawei may in the end just decide to release their own operating system, and that's actually something that's been in the works.
Yeah,
it's called,
for the last 7 years. It's called.
Guess what it's called?
Oh, dude, it's called.
I'll let you say it. It's called Hongmeng.
The most
OS.
Chinese name ever, Hongmeng. I'm surprised Hongmeng doesn't have a last name.
It's an operating system. Why are you calling it literally someone's name?
No, I mean, I'm sure there's a meaning, like.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Our camera guy looks like a Hongmeng.
Oh wow! And actually, they've apparently been developing for 7 years. And so they did come prepared with this. Like the fact that they had it in mind to prepare for it kind of speaks on how Huawei operates.
It does. But they did emphasize that this is a plan B, and they would very much rather just stick with the Google ecosystem.
Yeah.
So not really ready, I'm guessing. Hongmeng's not ready yet.
Yeah, Hongmeng's not ready.
Yeah, but that being said, right, it's clear that China can't afford to depend on the US for crucial parts and business development anymore. And the thing is, with the development of Huawei's new OS, companies like Xiaomi and Oppo or whatever could see the writing on the wall for them, because before they get banned by Trump, they might as well sort of like switch over to like Hongmeng.
Yeah, this could, this would probably like segment Android market into Hongmeng,
and that's very
into Android.
Exactly. So it could segment the Android market. Okay, it's very bad, because like the thing is, I don't think only the Chinese companies would do it. European countries don't necessarily trust Trump. Okay, like
who does?
Exactly. They didn't ban Huawei from their countries. Okay, Huawei is still like free to do whatever they want in European countries, and could lead to a segmentation of the Android OS, which is crazy because Android's been working so hard to sort of
bring it all together. And now it's
so actually
coming undone.
Google could actually end up suing the US government. That could be one situation that could happen as well. Okay, so don't be surprised if that happens.
So how is this exactly going to affect the smartphone market as a whole? And as we mentioned, this isn't specifically for Huawei. So other Chinese smartphone manufacturers may feel the same treatment, and Huawei devices will definitely be practically neutered with this. Like, what is a smartphone these days without Google?
Exactly.
It's such a fundamental part of the ecosystem that without it, I don't know if it could survive.
Exactly.
So think about it. How much do you actually use Google? Like, I have like 4 Gmail accounts. I have like YouTube. All that stuff, and you could possibly just not ever use it on a Huawei device. So this week, US President Donald Trump put Huawei and a dozen of its affiliates on this entity list that we mentioned before. So it makes it difficult for Chinese companies to source components. And being on this list basically means selling products to Huawei would require Washington's approval before shipping goods to them. And US officials have indicated that such approvals are basically non-existent. Chinese companies aren't the only ones who are affected. Like we mentioned, Intel, Qualcomm, all the comms are being affected. So Broadcom and Qualcomm are actually both suppliers of Huawei's, and each at least have half their revenue from China. So their stocks, along with Micron Technology and Xilinx fell sharply on Monday. So this whole war right now is bad for everybody, and it could be potentially worse. Considering that Qualcomm provides chipsets and all that, it could mean that other phones would in turn be more expensive.
I mean, yes, but also like I think the biggest winner here would probably be Samsung.
Samsung is gonna take advantage of this.
I mean, I wouldn't say Apple is necessarily a big winner here. Like,
definitely. I mean,
China could retaliate and hit back at Apple. So because Apple's US based, right? I mean US owned. So
Apple's gonna be probably hit the hardest, I say. But Samsung can definitely, if they play their cards right, they could definitely pull ahead here and be number one.
For sure.
Well, that's pretty much it about all of what's going on with Huawei.
So we have a giveaway winner, and
episode 5.
So we had a giveaway in episode 5.
Giveaway some Bose AE2i. Sounds fancy, super fancy.
So there were a bunch of comments, and
we've picked a winner.
So Wong Yokar.
Congratulations.
With her, existential, looking at teenagers nowadays with their headphones on, especially in the house, makes me kind of sad. Apart from them as communications being hindered.
Hence, I deserve to win the Bose AE2i, so I could use this as a lesson to them. Hopefully, they'll feel the same way I felt. It's payback time. It's payback time.
Okay.
So it's payback time, and so Wong Yok-har, you are the winner. We'll be hitting you up. And that's it for this week's episode, guys. Make sure to like, subscribe, share the video with all your friends, and you know what to do. And that's it from all of us here, Tech Talk 5. See you next week.